Guys, this is my 1999 Plymouth Neon with about 98,000 miles. The alternator has failed. I am going to show you how to change it. Yeah, that's right, boys and girls. The alternator has finally failed on it. And if I walk up here and the alternator on this guy is way down in there, you got all these hoses on the top here. You got your timing belt cover, really impossible to take apart up here, so we will have to do it down from below, and that is going to mean we are going to have to take our wheel off. Before we do that, let's go ahead and do one thing over here. We got to disconnect our battery. Like I said, the first thing we have to do for safety, go ahead and pull the battery cable off. Pull the hot or the negative, but if you want, just pull them both off and kind of stick them off to the side. Okay, now I got my wheel up in the air and everything, and I got a jack stand under there. Let me go ahead and see if it's centered. Okay, it's pretty much centered what I want, and now I'll just go ahead and let my jack down just a little bit and kind of let the frame rest on those jack stands. And now we'll go ahead and take the wheel off. Isn't that nice? Little plastic nuts to hold the hubcap on. Cute. And now we'll go ahead and take off the lug nuts. Just a reminder, when you go to take your lug nuts off, break the lug nuts loose before you jack your car up in the air, because it does make it a lot easier. Because once you get your wheel up in the air, sometimes you can't get your lug nuts broke loose. And off is our wheel. And now we have access into the wheel well, which we need to take a cover off inside of here in order to get into the alternator to have access to it so we can take it off. Alright, now we got the wheel off and everything, and now there's a little plastic cover here that we have to pull off. There's a little bolt right here. You have a plastic tab right there, and there's another little 8mm bolt right underneath the front of this, so we'll take that out. And this bolt here, you see, this is the crank nut, so we don't have to worry about that. But the alternator is actually right up in here, right behind this piece of metal, and this is what we're aiming for. So let's go ahead and take off this piece of plastic here, this little tab, pop it off. And I usually just use just a regular pair of needle nose pliers or something, and there's the little tab. I don't know if you can see how well you're going to be able to see that because the lighting is not the world's best, but there it is. Okay, and here is the other bolt I was telling you about. We got to take out the little nut. This is actually a 10. I told you an 8, but misspoke. The one up front is actually missing, so this is the only one I have to take out. And then we can go ahead and just kind of pull this plastic shroud out of the way, this cover. And we'll take the bolt out, and there it is. And now we'll simply pull this out of the way. And there it is, and we'll look at it. Alright, here's our splash guard, and here is the bolt right there that you just saw me take out. And that hole right there is where that little plastic tab that I pulled out was. And right here is where the other bolt is. It was missing, the bolt hole. So I'll show you that real quick under here, and it's actually right about there. I think you can see that if I turn my camera up, right there. I'll get a better shot of it there for my peeps. There it is. See, it's right there. It's kind of hidden behind that line. That's where the other nut is. So, now we're going ahead and, I guess, get ready to take this alternator out. We're just about into it. Alright, now since we got the splash guard out of the way, right there is my alternator. And my belt, the alternator, this thing here, right where my finger is, that's your alternator. Mine actually burned up. It locked up, and whoever had the car before me just decided to drive it until the belt burnt off, which I don't understand what's wrong with people these days. But the belt's totally gone. I don't know where it's at. But this here is the power steering and the alternator belt. The power steering and the air conditioning belt, I should say. So I'm just going to kind of pull it out of the way. And now you can see why you have to take the wheel off and the cover off to get in there. This is a very tight alternator to get off, but we can get it, and I'm going to show you how. Now on my model, I have this air cleaner here I'm going to take out of the way. There's the big old plastic piece that sits on top. And we got to take this guy here off. This is pretty easy to take out. Once you pop this off and pull the air cleaner out, this whole unit slides off of a bracket. Then the next thing we got to do really is to get this engine coolant water bottle, a reservoir bottle out of the way. And once we do that, we pull this out of the way, we will actually have a lot more room in here to get our hands in the back of this alternator down there. There's a couple of wires we got to unhook and a tension nut that adjusts the belt. There's actually no other way to get into it, and this is why we're going to take these guys here out. Trust me, it's a little more work, but it's a lot easier to do it that way. And I think you'll be surprised just how easy it is. Now, some of the other models of the Neons may or may not have this back here, but I know a lot of them will have an air cleaner. They'll have the tube that runs off to this side over here, but this one just happens to have it going across the engine and down. But nevertheless, I do believe most of the Neons will have this air cleaner and this water bottle coolant, and if you get those out of the way, it certainly will help you out. So let me go ahead and get these out of the way. Alright, now there's the top of the air cleaner. I'll simply just kind of cut that off to the side. Now here's the housing. Now I wasn't sure how this piece came out, and I didn't want to break it. And here's a look at the back side. Of course, I would have never gotten it out. So this is why, if you have this particular model, there are two bolts right here that bolt on the back side. As it sets down in there like that, just simply take these two bolts out. They are 1/2 inch. Make sure you get a good 5-point and get on there. And I have to put a little muscle on it. And just fish this out. And now we'll just set this off to the side as I kind of hold the camera here, free-handed. And now you can see how much room we have in here. And now we can actually see the back of the alternator right there. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is take this water bottle out of here. It's only one bolt, and it slides out. And we'll have to disconnect the coolant hose, and that will give us all the room we need back here to get that alternator. At least get into the bolt there, the adjustment bolt, and those wires on the back, because we don't want to break the wires. Alright guys, we got this one out. This one here is a 10 millimeter. There we go. Now we got one more to take out, and it's kind of hidden right down here. And if I get the light just right, I got an extension there. I know this one here is kind of a pain in the butt, but this is really the only one we got to worry about. We can get this water bottle out. It's sitting right there. I put a little oil on it, and I got a little swivel, and I should be able to take it right off. And once we get that off, we can simply pull that bottle right out, and here's the hose that I popped off on it, and I kind of got it laying off to the side. So now I'll go ahead and stick it off, and I do get that bolt down, or go ahead and take that bolt out, I should say. And like I said, I believe that's a 10. I'll let you know here in a second. Alright, I actually had just enough room to get my hand down there, and once I got it loose, there it is. And it's a little 10, funny looking nut. Not much of a nut, I'll tell you that, just enough to keep that water bottle snug. And now we're ready to pull it out of here. And it may have a little antifreeze in it, so be careful. And we'll fish it out. And there it is, and you can see that's where the bolt was right there. Once you get this out of the way, well, it looks like my hose right there that goes on there kind of got melted. That's kind of interesting. I have to check that out and see what happened to it, but not a problem. And now you can see, I'll put the camera down here. I apologize for the shaking, because I got to get the camera in the light just right. And now here's the back of our alternator. Now we have all this room to get to this nut right there, to loosen that up, to adjust that belt, to take it loose if you still have your belt on yours. Like I said, mine was burnt off. And there are the wires on the plugs. And the wires, I should say, the plugs on the back of the alternator, and there's another wire down there. These are all easy to get to now, so all we got to do is go ahead and unhook that and start unhooking some bolts. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright guys, I got my one plug off here. Now, the way I got this plug off, you have to be very careful. There's this little tab on the back, this little red thing. Push down right here on it. I took a screwdriver and kind of push down, and once you pull this out, it will allow you to push on this release clip right here. If you can see that right there, that's how that comes off. Now, it might be kind of hard to see, but trust me, it's there, because when this plug is plugged in like that, when you're looking down on it, it's kind of hard to see, but it's back there. And I pushed down on my screwdriver, and now that plug is off. And now I have this one right there. That is a 10 millimeter little nut I got to take off, and that's the main hot wire that comes off the alternator, so we'll go ahead and take that off now. And like I said, it's easy to get to it from up here. If you want to try from the bottom, hey, knock yourself out, and let me know how that works out. But this is a lot easier this way. Okay guys, just about got it off. And there is our little nut that holds the wire on, and it's a 10 millimeter. And now if I stick my hand down here underneath the manifold, I think I can take this off like this. There's our wire. Our little hot wire, now that's off. And we simply push this aside, and all those wires are off of the back of the alternator. So now all we got to do is go ahead and tackle those bolts and get ready to pull this baby out of here. Now, like I said, we're going to start taking some bolts out of the alternators. Now this top bolt that's on the alternator up here, there's two ways you can take it out. You can take it out on the top here, but you got a lot of hoses in the way, and it's kind of difficult to get to it. If I actually zoom in there, you can see I got my socket kind of setting on it right now. But we are going to take this off on the bottom, because for me there just seems to be a lot more room and it's easier to get to, so let's go down there. Okay, now you can see I've got my socket kind of setting on the nut there, and as I zoom in you can see it works out pretty good. That is a 15 nut. And also to make things a little easier, I have a little bar here, a little piece of pipe that I stick on my ratchet there to kind of help break it loose, and it worked out pretty good. But you probably won't need it, but I've already got my nut loose here, so I'll go ahead and take it out. And I apologize, it's hard for me to hold the camera and get the angle just right so you can see it and take it out at the same time. But you can see the socket kind of right there is the nut. It's almost I've already broke it loose, and now I'll go ahead and take this out. So let me go ahead and take it out. I'll have to set the camera down here, and we'll get this one out. Alright, there's that nut. I got it off, and you can see the stud there kind of sticking out. That's actually part of that adjustment bracket on the back there. When you adjust that belt, tighten it down. Now I'll go ahead and take this one here off, and I've already got it loose, and it's a I think it's a 14. Let me check real quick here. It is a 15 also, so I'm going to hold the camera here and take it out. And the back of it back here, it's got a stop nut on it, so I don't know if you can see that right there, which is kind of nice. Keeps it from turning, and it'll probably fall here in a minute. There it goes. Now I can pull this, go ahead and pull this nut out as my camera gets caught on there. So that's just about out. Let me grab the bracket here, and here's what it looks like. It's kind of nice to have that on there. And now I'll have to set the camera down. We'll have to pull this nut out. This actually a pretty long bolt there. Yeah, that's what that is. Not a nut, it's a bolt, Nathan. Yeah, it's a little late. I'm getting tired. Okay, there's this. That's out. All right, that's our last one. Now, as you can see here, it's free. It rocks back and forth. Whoops. You see that? So now I got to set the camera down here, and I got to fish it out of here. Okay, now as you can see, the alternator's loose. It's kind of just sitting here out of the way. We have to do one more thing, and you see those 3 bolts right there? We got to take those off. There's a little bracket right there. We'll get that out of the way, and this alternator will come right out. And these are 15, so let me go ahead and take that out of the way. The 3rd bolt is right there. It's kind of hidden on the top right there. So there's 1, 2, and number 3. Yep, we'll do this again. 1, 2, and 3 up on the top there. Kind of hiding. I almost counted this one here. You don't have to take that one out. That's part of the engine housing for the front of the engine. So I'll go ahead and take this out. Okay, now I've got all my bolts out, and I gotta be careful when you take this last bolt out. This alternator will probably just hit the ground. Will just fall on the floor, so you gotta be careful if you're in the way. Take this little bracket out of the way, and there it is, and the alternator is ready to fall out. And let me see if I can hold the camera and pull it out at the same time. Where am I at? There we go. Oh, there it is. Okay. Almost got my fingers. And let me go ahead and look at the camera and pull the alternator out at the same time. It's kind of hard to do. But there it is. I gotta set the camera down and twist it around and pull it out of there. We'll try that. Alright, I think we got it here. And there it is. It's out. Oh, that, my friend, is a 100,000 mile alternator. It's out. And you can see what it looks like up in there. A lot of room once it's out. Tell you what, the engineers decided to make this a tough one if you had to replace it. So we'll go out here and we'll take a look at this guy and see what we got. Alright, there's a nice look at it. And like I said, this alternator is locked up. It smoked the belt. I'm not sure what happened, but this has been on the car since brand new, I guarantee it. And there's the back. There's that one plug you got to take off. And there's the wire that has a 10mm nut. And the secret is to get this off. A lot of people forget about this bracket here. Once you take this bracket off on the bottom, this is the key to give you all the room you need to pull this alternator out. So once you get through a couple bolts up here and a couple plugs, and I should say, yeah, with the water bottle and stuff, it's not too bad to take out. Now there's one more thing I wanted to show you on the back of this. Where this bracket is back here, this adjustment screw for the belt. Let me show you here real quick. On the back here, this is where you adjust your belt tension. This socket here is a 13, just so you know. And you can see it's loose and everything. And there's part of the bracket on the bottom there. You're probably not going to be able to see it, but that's how that works. Just wanted to show you that. But that's what that socket there is. When you take your alternator off, just make sure you loosen that a little bit. And here's one final look at the bracket looking upwards, and you can see it. This kind of how this works. The alternator hangs on the top of this right there, and this long nut in the back you see there, you turn that, and it tightens the alternator back. It moves the alternator back and forth, and of course it tightens or loosens the belts. That's how that is set up. Alright, so we'll get back up here to the top and look at this alternator one more time. I'll head out tomorrow and pick up another one for about 40 or 50 bucks. You can get these alternators less than 100 bucks remanufactured at the parts store and even online and on eBay and stuff like that. There's a lot of dealers on there. I haven't seen any other videos on these Plymouth Neons on how to change this alternator like I did. I think the way I did it is a lot easier and it's a lot less stress. You can get in here and this gives you a lot more room, like I said, by taking this air cleaner out and all that. And you can get underneath this side over here, and once you get the wheel off, it makes it a lot easier. So if you have any questions or anything, I'll try to answer them. And if you like my video, give me a thumbs up. Still a lot of these cars on the road. I mean, from 95 to 2005, they didn't change a whole lot. And I'm sure somebody out there is having an alternator problem right now. And this may actually save you some money and time. Because I know to do an alternator job like this, I checked the other day, $450. And that doesn't include the alternator. So hopefully this will help somebody out. So I guess I'll wrap this video up, and I'll go out tomorrow and get me another alternator and stick it on, and maybe I'll do an update on the video or something. But this is definitely a 100,000 mile alternator, and I'm really surprised that it went out soon. I've had them last a lot longer than that, but you never know. Things get hot and they kind of break down over time. Alright, so enough rambling on, guys. We'll see you later on my next project. Until then, have a good one and be safe.